Okay, so deep in the waters of Vanuatu, there's this hidden world that's facing a massive threat. We're talking about these incredible, vibrant seagrass meadows. And right now, they're at a critical crossroads because our world is warming up. Let's dive in and see what's happening. When you first look at them, these underwater prairies seem so peaceful, right? Almost timeless. They're just beautiful, swaying ecosystems that are basically the foundation of all coastal life there. But underneath all that calm, something really big is changing. You know, seagrass isn't just some random plant. It's basically a coastal superhero. Seriously. These meadows are a nursery for tons of fish. They're the main food source for dugongs and sea turtles. And they even clean the water and soak up carbon. And on top of all that, they support the local fishing communities. And that's the key thing to remember. This isn't just about nature for nature's sake. For the people of Vanuatu, the health of these seagrass beds is tied directly to their own survival. It means food on the table, it means a source of income, and it's a natural shield that protects their homes along the coast. So, what is this big change that's happening? Well, to put it simply, the ocean is getting a fever. We really need to get our heads around this threat, something scientists call marine heat waves. The cause of this fever is, well, it's just staggering. Over 90% of all the extra heat that's trapped by our greenhouse gas emissions doesn't even stay in the air. It gets soaked up by the ocean. Just let that sink in for a second. The ocean has been taking the hit for us for decades. And all that absorbed heat leads to this, a marine heat wave. So what is it? Officially, it's any time you have at least 5 straight days where the sea surface is way warmer than it should be for that time of year. It's pretty much a heat wave like we get on land, but it's happening underwater, and the consequences can be just as bad, if not worse. And look, this isn't some abstract, far-off idea. It's happening right now in places like Pango, Vanuatu. You can see it right here. Since the 1980s, the number of days they spend in a marine heat wave every single year has just been climbing like crazy. And these heat waves have very real, very visible impacts. Back in 2016, a really severe marine heat wave literally cooked the waters in this area, which caused a massive fish kill. It was a terrifying sign of what happens when the ocean's fever gets too high. So let's connect the dots. How exactly does this rising heat affect the seagrass? Well, the evidence we're getting from the water tells a pretty clear and worrying story. This chart of the sea surface temperatures near Pango shows you the root problem. The blue line is just the normal seasonal ups and downs, but that red line cutting right through the middle, that shows a relentless, long-term warming trend. It's undeniable. See, biologically, seagrass has a tipping point. These tropical kinds, they're pretty happy in water up to about 32 degrees Celsius. But once that water temperature pushes past 35 degrees, their most basic life process, photosynthesis, it just starts to break down. They literally can't handle the heat, and they either stop growing or die off completely. And if you need a picture of what that kind of catastrophic tipping point looks like, just read this quote from a study done in Shark Bay, Australia. It's chilling. They lost over 1,300 square kilometers of seagrass after one marine heat wave. This shows that the problem in Vanuatu, it's part of a global threat with absolutely devastating potential. So, based on all this data, scientists can now project 2 very, very different futures for Vanuatu's seagrass. It's like a tale of 2 possible worlds we get to choose from. And which path we go down, which future actually happens, it really all boils down to just one thing: how much greenhouse gas we, as a planet, decide to pump into the atmosphere between now and the end of the century. Okay, so let's look at future number 1, a low-emissions world. In this scenario, the number of marine heatwave days in Pango still goes up a lot, to around 150 days a year by 2090. But, and this is crucial, most of those are just moderate. The ecosystem would be stressed, for sure, but it might just be able to hang on and adapt. Now, contrast that with a high-emissions world. By 2090, the region could be stuck in a marine heat wave for nearly 360 days a year. We're talking about a massive jump in severe and extreme heat. This isn't just a stress system anymore. It's basically a permanent, catastrophic hot bath that the seagrass might never, ever recover from. Wow, the choice between those 2 futures couldn't be more stark. So what do we do? How do we protect these incredible underwater meadows? The key is to see the whole picture of threats, and then to act together. Because as awful as marine heat waves are, they aren't working in a vacuum.
The poor seagrass is actually getting hit from all sides at the same time.
Think about it. Seagrass needs sunlight, right? So as sea levels rise, it's forced to retreat towards land, which is not easy. More intense cyclones come through and just rip the plants right out and churn up the water, blocking the sun. Extreme rain washes more pollution and sediment into the coast, and then you have coastal development, making everything worse. It's a battle on multiple fronts.
The natural strength of these seagrass meadows, their resilience, is already worn dangerously thin. If we don't take serious, coordinated action, we risk pushing them right past the point of no return, which would lead to a total collapse.
But here's the good news. There is a clear path forward. It's not hopeless. It starts with strengthening national policies to protect these ecosystems. It means expanding awesome monitoring programs like Seagrass Watch so we get early warnings. We have to invest in more research, mixing modern science with traditional local knowledge. And of course, we have to actively get out there and conserve these vital habitats.
So we really are at a crossroads. The underwater prairies of Vanuatu are teetering on a tipping point, balanced between a future of stressed but possible survival and one of total collapse. The science is clear. The two paths are laid out right in front of us. So the only question left is, which future are we going to choose?